Hello and welcome. My name is Gisèle Tassé-Goodman, and I am the chair of the National Board of Directors for the National Association of Federal Retirees. I am joined today by Hélène Nadeau, Vice Chair of the National Board of Directors, and Connie Keller, a member of the National Board of Directors and also co-chair of the Association's Special Committee on Association Structure. It's great to see members joining from across the country. Your presence reflects the strength of this association. Before we continue with our meeting, it is important for us to recognize the First Nations on whose traditional lands we live, work, play, and meet. We here in the studio are joining from you from Ottawa, which is the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Of course, you, our members, are joining from different locations all across Canada. And I encourage each of you to take a moment to acknowledge the land where you live and to reflect how we can each move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration with our First Nations. Afin de permettre à notre association de continuer à défendre efficacement vos intérêts, d'accroître sa portée et son influence et d'assurer sa pérennité pour les années à venir, nous avons entrepris un examen de sa gouvernance et de sa structure. Et aujourd'hui, bien, nous allons discuter de cet examen de la gouvernance et de la structure. Nous allons vous expliquer comment nous en sommes arrivés à ce point. Pourquoi l'évolution de notre structure de gouvernance est nécessaire et ce qui est envisagé alors que nous réfléchissons à l'avenir de l'association. This review is a thoughtful step toward building a stronger, more resilient and future-ready association. One that delivers enhanced services and access for members, renews and supports our volunteers, strengthens communication and collaboration across the organization, improves administrative efficiency, and ensures long-term sustainability. This is an important conversation about ensuring that federal retirees continues to be strong, effective, and relevant, not just today, but for the decades ahead. And to begin, I will hand it over to Hélène to walk you through how we got there. Hélène?
Thank you, Gisèle. Alors, j'aimerais commencer en prenant un peu de recul. L'Association
I would
nationale
like to start by saying that the association has a long story, and this dates back to its foundation in 1963. Over the past 60 years and plus, we had made important progress on retirement security and improved quality of life of our members and, by extension, older adults in Canada. Looking ahead to the next decade, the need is unmistakable. The association must be sustainable, democratic, and resilient if it is to continue serving active and retired members of the Federal Public Service, the Canadian Armed Forces, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and federally appointed judges, along with their partners and survivors today and well into the future. The current branch structure was designed at a time when federal offices and retirees were more evenly distributed across the country. Since then, federal operations have centralized, local offices have closed, and members' expectations have evolved, but our structure has not meaningfully changed.
We are undertaking a governance review at this time. The need for this work was clearly identified by our volunteers themselves through a branch core function survey in 2022. That feedback signaled a shared recognition that the association must modernize element of its governance framework to respond to branch-level concerns, including persistent challenges in recruiting and retaining volunteers and the administrative burden created by the current governance model. That survey was followed by a resolution brought forward by delegates or our branch president at the 2023 annual meeting of members, calling for a committee to be established to review our structure. As a result, the Special Committee on Association structure was created. Work then began by that special committee and the National Board of Directors on a governance effectiveness and structure review to modernize how the association represents members, makes decisions, and supports volunteers. Interim reports, both on the government structure and efficiency review and from the Special Committee on Association structure, were presented to delegate and observers at the 2025 annual meeting of members. And discussion will continue at this year's upcoming AMM. This review is grounded in a guiding principle of fiscal responsibility, sustainability, accountability, inclusivity, collaboration, trust, open communication, member-focused decision-making, and continuous learning. This work is being advanced with the support of expert governance professionals and grounded in meaningful input from volunteers and members across the association. It reflects over a year of focused engagement with the National Board of Directors and the Special Committee on Association structure, informed by broad consultation with volunteers and members through surveys, interviews, and district and regional meetings. Currently, a survey is being conducted with volunteers and members to gather sentiments around the proposed governance model. This survey has had a good reception, and the association has had the fortune of hearing from a wide and diverse population of its members. Survey remains open, and we encourage all of our members to continue to participate. Ensemble, nous élaborons un modèle de gouvernance proposé qui reflète cette vision collective.
Together, we will reflect on this collective vision and answer to the future needs. This work answers to the needs that are ahead to us. The capacities or the competencies change, and some pressures are also felt on governance. The goal is to maintain a strong organization. The goal of this is to work in a collaborative way and support a solid association, a model where everyone is recognized. The last consideration of our governance dates back from 2014. We had to work on non-for-profit organization. This law regulating federal organizations in Canada has some requirements that the organization should follow.
That some of the changes required to adhere to this Canada Non-for-Profit Corporation Act complicated some aspect of our structure. Some required changes, also resulted in confusion in some instances where changes occurred on paper, but not necessarily in practice. Some of these discrepancies continue to cause confusion today. This is something the proposed model clarifies in order to eliminate confusion, but also to ensure the association is meeting its legal requirements under the Act. Our current governance structure has served the association well for many years. It supported growth, enabled strong advocacy, and helped build the national organization we have today. Since then, the association has substantially grown in complexity, and members' expectations have evolved. The association must now transition to a modern, not-for-profit structure to meet new responsibilities and expectations around accountability and governance. The current governance and volunteer system has not kept pace with evolving member expectation or with the operational realities of a modern and sophisticated national organization. What we're seeing today is a sign that the system is under strain. There is increasing complexity in how decisions are made. Roles are not always as clear as they should be. And the model relies heavily on volunteers to carry administrative responsibilities that take time away from advocacy and member engagement. At the same time, many members are looking for a more direct connection to the direction of the association. These are signals that the structure needs to evolve. And that is the purpose of this work, to ensure that the association is positioned to remain strong, sustainable, and effective into the future. I will now invite my colleague, Connie, to speak about the important work that was completed by the Special Committee on Association structure and how this work has been considered and incorporated into the governance review. Connie.
Thank you, Hélène. A key step in this journey was the creation of the Special Committee on Association Structure. This committee was established following direction from the annual meeting of members, reflecting the importance of this issue to the membership and the need to take a thoughtful, structured approach. It is important to note this committee was mandated to review the structure of the organization, independent of the governance. The committee brought together perspectives from across the association and undertook a detailed review of how this current structure is functioning. Through that work, a number of recommendations were developed, many of which have been critical in shaping the direction we are discussing today. These recommendations were grounded in a clear understanding of where the current structure is working well and where it is facing challenges. When looking at the association structure, the Special Committee considered a number of factors, including the changing federal landscape, evolving volunteer capacity and expectations, structural and governance pressures, member engagement realities, and the need for alignment with modern service and communications norms. In addition, the Special Committee closely considered sustainability principles. Following careful consideration, the Special Committee recommended that a smaller number of stronger, better resourced branches across Canada would better position the association to remain sustainable, relevant, and responsive for decades to come. The committee advised this change would enable many advantages, including a move to stronger, more sustainable branches, improved volunteer experience and renewal, and enhanced member services and access. This recommendation from the Special Committee supports long-term sustainability by ensuring the association can evolve with its membership while preserving its community roots. Also identified by the Special Committee was a need for administrative, program, and operational support for branches, while preserving regional coordination and member engagement. This would assist branches by reducing administrative burdens and improving volunteer engagement, communication, and collaboration. One proposed model for this was the concept of district service hubs, which were considered as a blend of volunteers and paid staff. While the district service hub concept was ultimately not adopted for the proposed model, the key elements of providing administrative, program, and operational support to branches while preserving regional coordination and member engagement have been incorporated. As well, the move to fewer, stronger branches incorporates the committee's recommendation of a more regional or district-based approach. The Special Committee heard from branches that face significant challenges, including difficulty managing compliance-heavy tasks, lack of volunteer support, and struggles with governance and technology adoption. Many branches operate in isolation and lack resources for effective collaboration. The proposed model we are discussing today aims to streamline operations, reduce administrative burdens, and provide guidance on governance and technology, all of which will enhance the overall volunteer experience and sustainability of the organization. The special committee also recommended introducing new ways or new opportunities to volunteer in more flexible ways, as currently volunteers only engage if they live where there is a physical branch. The intent of new, more flexible ways to volunteer is to ensure that members have clear and meaningful pathways to continue contributing, whether through local engagement by new branches, action groups, advocacy initiatives, or other roles. The focus here is on creating a model where volunteer time and energy can be used more effectively and sustainably, and where it is easy for members to volunteer in the ways they want and in the ways that fit into their lives. The special committee identified the importance of providing a wide range of options so members can volunteer in ways that align with their interests, availability, and expertise through more flexible opportunities, such as time-limited roles, remote participation, and issue-focused engagement. The recommendation from the special committee was the creation of communities of practice, which would enable members to collaborate together across the country on issues of shared interest, such as advocacy, recruitment, education, etc. This recommendation helped shape thinking on the action groups being considered as part of the proposed governance model. Ultimately, the special committee found that maintaining the status quo is not an option. A modernized, right-sized new branch will better support sustainability, volunteer vitality, and consistent service for members across Canada. The work of the special committee has been an important foundation for our governance review process, with recommendations from the committee helping to shape the proposed model. It has helped to move the conversation from identifying challenges to beginning to define what a stronger, more sustainable model could look like. And that proposed model is what we are discussing here today.
Thank you, Connie. Building on that, I'd like to walk through how the governance model is evolving. To help bring this to life, let me walk through a simple comparison between where we are today and where we're heading. Today, our branch network plays an important role in the association, but we're seeing increasing differences in capacity across the country. Some branches are well-resourced and able to recruit volunteers, while others are finding that more difficult. And overall, it is becoming harder to sustain consistent volunteer capacity at the local level. At the same time, national directors are elected through a delegate system. That means branch presidents vote on behalf of members using a weighted system based on branch size. In practice, that requires branches to gather input from members and translate that into a single vote. And what we're seeing is that this can be complex and difficult to manage. Again, because of time structure and volunteer capacity. Layered on top of that is the administrative burden. Beaucoup de bénévoles consacrent une partie importante de leur temps à des responsabilités.
Many volunteers spend too much time to administrative responsibilities, and this compels them they are not working for what they are really aiming for.
La direction que nous sommes en train de prendre est un modèle
The direction we are moving to is really important.
This would be a change from the current structure, which includes multiple layers of governance. This complex governance structure has resulted in role confusion, as well as inconsistent advocacy impact and member experience across the country. Instead, with the National Board of Directors as the sole governing body, roles will be more clear and decisions can be made in a more timely and consistent manner. This model also brings a move from weighted proxy vote, where one delegate from each branch, each holding a set number of weighted votes based on the number of members within their branch. Votes to elect the National Board of Directors to a one-member, one-vote model. Every member can have a direct and equal voice in electing national directors. The proposed model also moves us from inconsistently resourced branches across the country, many of whom have told us they are struggling, to a more sustainable new branch structure designed to support consistent local engagement over the long term through fewer, stronger branches. These local branches operating at a more sustainable scale will focus on community-level engagement and connection. This means moving from a model where each branch must have set governance roles, which many branches struggles to fill, to a model without branch boards, where local branch volunteers are able to instead focus on meaningful work, such as advocacy, recruitment, and local engagement with members, rather than administrative tasks. These new branches are an integral part of the proposed model and of the association. With the current administrative burdens removed, new branches will support the association's strategic plan by focusing on advocacy, member engagement, recruitment, and local partnerships. In terms of advocacy, new branches will support financial campaigns at the local level by leveraging local relationships and context to connect with government representatives and community stakeholders. New branches will also participate in nationally coordinated initiatives, such as community roundtables and events, bringing a valuable local lens to discussions. In addition, new branches will be integral in monitoring and identifying issues locally which align with the association's properties and providing them for analysis and consideration at the national level. In terms of member engagement, new branches will cultivate and support member recruitment by delivering local outreach activities and events which engage and retain members, such as webinars and education sessions focused on association priorities. In terms of recruitment, new branches will support association priorities by organizing events, conducting outreach, and collaborating with local partners to attract new members. New branches will also be integral in implementing province-specific strategies, which will be developed with national support. New branches will receive training and tools to support these activities and to ensure consistent experiences for potential and new members across the country. In terms of local partnerships, new branches will support the association's priorities at the local level by maintaining and growing local preferred partnerships. In addition to the new branches, this model introduces action groups. These groups of volunteers will collaborate together across the country, providing structured member input and expertise on issues that are national in scope. Members told us they want more flexible ways to participate, including remote, time-limited, and skill-based volunteer roles. And this model creates those pathways. Like new branches, action groups would not hold governance authority and would be supported by staff. These new volunteer structures mean a shift in how work is supported, where administrative responsibilities are handled by staff allowing volunteers to focus on meaningful impact roles with more flexibility in how they choose to participate. What is not changing is our commitment to maintain a nominations process that ensures regional representation on our national board of directors. This proposed model strengthens the association's ability to deliver on the issues members consistently value most: strong advocacy for retirement security and pensions, healthcare and positive aging, and preferred partnerships. Taken together, this is about making participation easier, strengthening members' voice, and ensuring the association is set up to succeed in the future. This represents a shift towards clearer accountability, stronger membership voice, more meaningful and expanded list of volunteer roles, and a structure that can sustain the association into the future. It also strengthens our ability to deliver on what members value most: advocacy on retirement, security and pensions, healthcare and positive aging, veteran well-being, and fairness for federal retirees. And importantly, it aligns directly with our strategic plan to ensure we are structured to deliver our advocacy priorities effectively across the country. Before we move into questions, I want to take a moment to outline what happens next. This is a multi-step process, and it will take time. Currently, we have a proposed model which continues to be under development. Ongoing discussion on this proposed model is continuing to take place this spring, including in person at the upcoming spring district meetings and also at our annual meeting of members later this year. We also look forward to reviewing the complete results of our member survey once it closes early next month. If you have not completed the survey, please do so. Your input is valuable as we continue to develop and refine the proposed model. Once the proposed model is fully developed, the next steps will then be to bring it forward for consideration in principle at an upcoming meeting of members. Following that, detailed work would begin to translate that direction into updated bylaws and governance documents. Changes that affect the bylaws will be brought back to members for a final vote. Taken together, this is a process that will unfold over time. We do not want to rush this. We want to get it right. And we want to ensure the voice of our members and volunteers are heard and reflected in the new model. We'll now move into questions, starting with some of the most common themes and thoughtful questions that came up during the registration process for today's session. Pourquoi cet examen de la gouvernance est-il nécessaire puisque l'association fonctionne aujourd'hui?
Why is this governance review is needed by the association? The association mission is strong, but the current structure is under strain. Volunteer fatigue, role confusion, and overly complex decision-making creates a real risk. This model helps safeguard the association's long-term sustainability to keep supporting our membership for decades to come. In the current model, it is becoming difficult to recruit and retain volunteers. Processes are increasingly complex. Expectations from members are evolving, particularly about having a more direct voice and more flexible way to engage in the association. work.
Et cet examen vise à s'assurer que
And this review is about to ensure association remains sustainable, democratic, and effective in the future. Importantly, no final decisions have been made. What do we show you today? It's a proposed direction, and it will continue to be shaped by feedback from members and volunteers.
How will the new envisioned governance model enable the association to behave like an impactful advocacy organization affecting key public policy and program? Question from Ontario. The proposed model will allow the association to think more strategically and focus more time and energy on advocacy and less on administrative work. By simplifying governance, clarifying role, and enabling more direct member input, the association can respond more quickly and better reflect members' priority in its advocacy. This will strengthen the association's visibility and influence with decision makers, which is a pillar. When will a decision be made? Well, oh, Giselle, that's you.
Will the decision be made? This is from Alberta. Well, I'm repeating myself. This is a multi-step process, and it will take time. Currently, we have a proposed model which continues to be under development. We are currently in the engagement phase, where members and volunteers are being asked to review the proposed directions and provide feedback. No final decisions have been made so far, and the model may evolve based on feedback. Ongoing engagement on this proposed model is continuing to take place this spring, including in person and at the upcoming spring district meeting and our annual meeting of members later this year in June. Feedback received will be used to refine the model before any final proposal is brought forward for consideration in principle at an upcoming meeting of members.
How does the proposed new model compare to the existing structure? Question from Ontario. The current model is based on branches, a delegate voting system, and distributed governance responsibilities. Currently, there are about 77 branches across the country with various levels of activity, though the majority see approximately less than 10% of their eligible members attending branch meetings. This is combined with each branch having its own branch board and those branch presidents having the delegated voting responsibilities for total members of that branch, including those that don't attend branch meetings. The proposed direction explores a more streamlined model, including direct member voting, clearer national governance roles, and more flexible local engagement structures. The goal is to retain what works while improving sustainability and accessibility. How are the results of the Special Committee on Branch Structure reflected in this proposal made? Actually, it's a Special Committee on Association Structure, but the question was from Atlantic. Proposed direction reflects key findings from the committee, including uneven branch capacity, volunteer recruitment challenges, and administrative burden. It also reflects the need for more flexible and sustainable ways for members to engage locally. These findings help shape the proposed shift towards simplified governance and adaptable local structures. More specifically, though not exclusively, a reduction in the number of branches was recommended by the Special Committee, as was the desire to see more cross-national engagement, which has been reflected through the use of action groups.
Qu'est-ce que le modèle un, une membre, un vote change réellement? Le modèle
What does one member, one vote actually change? One member, one vote would mean that every member has an equal vote in electing national board directors. This is different from today, where currently branch presidents act as electors with a number of votes equal to the number of members of each branch, which is primarily determined by member location. One member, one vote democratizes and modernizes association where voting power is not concentrated on a small group. It strengthens fairness and accountability.
How does this give members more say
Comment
beyond voting? The proposed model strengthens member and volunteers' voice through multiple pathways. One member, one vote, action groups, local engagement, and clearer feedback channels that ensure member concerns are captured and acted on. Members and volunteers alike will have access to mechanisms allowing them to brainstorm and share ideas or concerns directly with the National Board and management. One member, one vote is a powerful mechanism to connect members directly to voting in the board of directors. New branches, which all members are encouraged to participate with, would have a clear feedback loop directly from branches to staff via dedicated staff personnel. Action groups would be issues-focused members groups that can be cross-national and are designed to hear from members across area they are passionate about. They are also supported directly by key members of association staff. Other avenues of member connection will continue to be used, such as member surveys, education events, and more.
What will happen to existing branches with this new structure? What happens to the actual structure at the branch level? Will there be a branch? The proposed model considers a smaller number of branches across the country, designed to be more consistent in capacity and support. These branches may look different from today, potentially covering larger geographic areas and being supported by staff to help reduce administrative burden and improve sustainability. In this model, one important change to the branches is the elimination of branch boards, which will contribute to a more streamlined governance system, allowing more time for volunteers to focus on key aspects like advocacy. At the same time, no final decisions have been made. The future structure of branches is still being explored, and input from members and volunteers will help shape what this looks like in practice.
Comment la gouvernance assurera les intérêts réels des régions et des groupes? Alors, c'est une question du Québec.
How will governance ensure the real interests of regions represented? It's a Quebec question. Regional representation and local perspective remain a core priority. This structure preserves regional representation as a core on the national board, grounded in regional understanding. In the proposed model, there would still be branches and opportunities for local involvement, particularly in advocacy and member recruitment. New branches would maintain more nuanced perspective and be supported more directly by association staff, allowing those important perspectives to flow from the region to the national leadership, influencing strategy and decision making. The association would continue to solicit input from members directly, for example, through surveys and town halls, to ensure regional and nuanced perspectives are heard and can be incorporated into future thinking and consideration. What is being explored is an expansion of how members can participate alongside a reduction in administrative burden, helping to address the burnout and capacity challenges that many volunteers have identified.
So, question we were asked, what will change
Alors,
for me as a
alors
volunteer?
qu'est-ce que ça va
What
changer
is
pour
the
moi?
expected role of volunteer under this new governance? And does this reduce the role of volunteer? We've said it all along. Volunteer are essential to the association, and that will not change. No final decision has been made about specific role or structure. What's being considered is a shift in how volunteers contribute. Less emphasis on governance and administrative responsibility, and more opportunity to engage in advocacy, outreach, and member recruitment. The proposed model considers simplification in governance layers, which mean that branch board would no longer exist. But there will still be a need for volunteer at the new branch to carry out the roles in key area of outreach, advocacy, education, and recruitment. These activities would be guided by the association strategy. These roles would likely look different than today, but exact roles have yet to be decided on. The goal is to make volunteer roles more manageable, more meaningful, and more aligned with why people choose to get involved in the first place.
What is the reporting structure for volunteers? This is a question from Alberta. In the proposed model, the strategic direction of the association would continue to be a key responsibility of the national board, who both currently today and under the new model are ultimately responsible for ensuring this direction is sound and sustainable, along with ensuring the executive team is driving this direction appropriately. Volunteers would have a closer relationship with the association staff when undergoing volunteer activities. This would include having more support and also having more clear direction purposefully linked to strategy. While exact reporting relationships and structures have not been developed, volunteers can expect to hear more regularly from association staff, and staff can expect to share the key strategic nuances, activities, ideas, and concerns heard from volunteers up to the national board. The goal is to provide greater clarity and reduce complexity.
With an anticipated reduction in the number of branches and therefore corresponding positions, what efforts are being taken to ensure the transition of and continuance of current volunteers? Supporting current volunteers is a priority throughout this process. The intent is to ensure that volunteers have clear and meaningful pathways to continue contributing, whether through local engagement by new branches, action groups, advocacy initiatives, or other roles. This is not about reducing the number of volunteer positions, creating a model where volunteer time and energy can be used more effectively and sustainably.
Une question du Québec. Comment améliorer le recrutement des
Quebec
bénévoles?
from Quebec, how can volunteer recruitment can be improved? The proposed model is intended to expand the ways members can get involved. This includes more flexible opportunities, such as time-limited role, remote participation, issue-focused engagement through initiative like action groups. The goal is to provide a wider range of options so members can volunteer in ways that align with their interests, availability, and expertise. Another question from Quebec, how will the proposed changes to governance will affect me as an individual member? For members, the proposed direction is intended to make participation simpler, more direct, more significant. This includes the potential for directing national elections, more accessible ways to engage on issues, and clearer communications on how member input shapes advocacy.
What is your strategy to keep individuals actively engaged? Et comment mobiliser les membres sans des activités organisées au sein de la section locale? The proposed approach focuses on flexible engagement opportunities, including virtual participation, issue-based involvement, and targeted outreach. This allows members to engage in ways that fit their interests and availability, even without formal local structure.
How will the new proposed model enable members at the local level to be more helpful and influential towards the federal issues? Local engagement will continue to play an important role, including through new branches that focus on advocacy and member recruitment. These new branches will have more direct connection with staff, allowing issues to flow up to alert the National Board and Executive of important developments in local communities. Much has changed in the association's environment since its inception. This includes the way both volunteers and members tend to engage. The association currently has great success in engagement with members already, such as stage readership, survey participation, etc., and has heard there is a desire to increase this further into volunteer opportunities. However, current local engagement is uneven. Some branches have a healthy amount of interest and others struggle to bring in volunteers. This will continue to be a challenge if the association does not change the manner in which it engages its members. As retirees now look and act differently than retirees 10 years ago, we expect this gap to continue to grow. Adding more flexibility into engagement, such as hybrid and virtual options and issues-based engagement, allows the association's member and volunteer opportunities to appeal to a broader group of individuals, both now and into the future. In addition, action groups are being explored as a way to connect and volunteers from across the country to work together on specific issues, share information and best practices, and support coordinated advocacy efforts. This combination of local presence and national collaboration is intended to strengthen how member input contributes to federal advocacy.
How can we better engage and incorporate feedback from diverse member groups, meaning by region, age, service branches, etc., in governance decisions? This is a question from Ontario. It is important for the association to ensure diverse perspectives are actively considered in decision-making. This will be done through a combination of surveys, consultations, and targeted engagement efforts, such as through action groups. Action groups could include both standing and ad hoc groups. An example would be an ad hoc group being formed to respond to direct member feedback on an issue, to gather more feedback and dive deeper, allowing the association staff and national board to ultimately make strategic decisions on this feedback as needed. Action groups could also act as a dedicated member feedback unit where direct feedback could be focused on one area, allowing for the association to better identify core issues, concerns, and opportunities for different and diverse members groups.
Comment allez-vous vous assurer que les membres et les bénévoles de partout pourront participer pleinement?
How will you assure that all the members will participate from fully? The proposed approach focuses on expanding access to participation. This includes offering remote, time-limited, and issue-based roles that can be done from anywhere in the country, alongside opportunities, and members and volunteers get involved, matching their interests and expertise.
What is the scope and level of authority of the National Board of Directors today, and what will change under the proposed new model? Explain the ramifications of all fiduciary responsibility will be with the National Board of Directors. This is a question from BC. Today, liability and authority lives with the National Board of Directors. Branches and their boards do not hold this liability. This was a core legal change that was adopted with the Canada Not-for-Profit Corporation Act. during the association's last governance review, which was completed in 2014. Under the proposed model, the core governance role of the National Board, including oversight, strategic direction, and fiduciary responsibility, would remain consistent with the current model, as is a legal requirement under the Canada Not-for-Profit Corporation Act. What is being explored is a more streamlined governance structure that clarifies roles and responsibilities, helping to ensure long-term sustainability and effective decision-making. This includes reinforcing accountability at the national level, while maintaining clear separation between governance and operations. Will branches be reporting to the National Board? That's a question from Alberta. The proposed model explores a flatter governance structure. This would include the elimination of branch boards. With this, a reporting structure as such would not look the same as it does currently. Currently, there is a lot of confusion on how and where branches report and to whom they are accountable. This new model aims to streamline this. This proposed model includes a closer relationship with branches and association staff, allowing branches to have the support they need to conduct key volunteer activities while being aligned and guided by the association's mission and strategy, which is ultimately both today and under the proposed model set by the National Board.
So we're being asked, does our National Board support the continuation of a volunteer-based governance model? Question from Alberta. All board directors are volunteers, and there's no desire to veer away from this proposed model. Volunteerism at all levels in the organization is vital, including at the board level and the local level. The focus is on evolving the model to better support volunteer and ensure sustainability.
With only one nationally elected body for the whole country, how would you create and maintain membership connection in each geographical area? It's a question from BC. Well, maintaining strong local connections remain a priority. This model keeps the flexibility of having physical meetings, but encourages the use of other engagement methods to accompany this, such as hybrid meetings, asynchronous engagement, subject-specific engagement. This would be complemented by broader engagement opportunities that connect members across the regions. New branches would continue to play a role in local advocacy and member recruitment, helping to ensure that members remain connected within their communities. This will look different in many regions, as this model does contemplate a reduction in the number of branches, but no final decision on what branches or where has been decided.
Question from BC. How will regional representation be ensured? Will national directors still be from districts, and will those districts be similar to those already in existence, or will they be changed, and by what criteria? Regional representation remains an important principle in the proposed direction. Feedback in this indicated it will be important to maintain a similar cross-national diversity on the board. This model agrees and supports that feedback. The National Board will continue to have a cross-Canadian regional representation.
A member asked, is this about cutting costs? What will happen to branch budget? This is about sustainability and outcome. Any improvement that increase efficiency will allow resources to be directed towards advocacy, member engagement, volunteer success, and the delivery of the association priorities. Many details are still to be considered, including what, if any, change will be needed to the current model used for budgeting and funding program and initiative at the national and branch level. Discussion on these items will take place as the proposed model is further developed. Will our members do change? Member from Saskatchewan. Connie.
Oh, there are no
It's me.
changes
There are
proposed
no
to
change
membership.
proposed at this time. Sorry, I'm getting confused.
That's okay. All right. Question from BC and Atlantic. Will the renewed governance model and branch structure be voted on by the members? The association will be transparent with its changes and follow the Canada Not-for-Profit Corporations Act when it comes to voting. Additional information on voting and timing will be provided to volunteers and members as we move further along in the process.
As we close, I want to thank you. Thank you all for being part of this town hall. This is an important, very important moment for the association. Taking the time to reflect on how we are structured and ensuring that structure supports our future is a responsibility we all share. There will be additional opportunities to stay engaged as this work continues. I look forward to further discussing the proposed model with our volunteers at their upcoming spring district meetings this spring and also at our annual meeting of members in June. We encourage all members to complete the governance review survey, which has been shared with members by email. More information about this survey and the governance review process can be found on our website. Also, stay tuned for additional updates on this important work, which will be found on our website, as well as in the future emails we will send to members. Remember, we are committed to ensuring all members are informed of this work as we progress and continue to have the opportunity to share input and feedback. And your perspective will continue to play an important role as we move forward. Thank you again. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Merci à tous et à toutes.
Thank you all.